Good evening, friends. Um, Hello. We're now going to learn how to get started with a very basic play framework application. I'm assuming that you have got Play Framework downloaded, properly installed, MySQL properly installed and configured, and everything. This starts from the point where you create a new Play application and then work through it to get some kind of a form and database connection things done. It'll be a slightly long tutorial and hope it works for you. To begin with, we create a new Play application and we call it contacts. That Play application is created. We go into the contacts folder that got created and we say play, run. This runs the development server on the Play application. Now you might see that I'm running a very old version of Play. The current version of Play is somewhere 2 point something and I'm running 1.2.7. When you're getting used to the way of working with Play Framework, I would suggest you use 1.2.7, which was the last release in the 1.2 branch, because this is far more simpler. 2.0, the way I see it, has very different, lots of other stuff is there which it takes a while to get through. So to familiarize yourself with Play, start with 1.2.7. Once you get used to it, then you go to Play 2 if you want. Now that the server is up and running, we can straight away look at it on port 9000. And this is what you see. This is being served from the server that is running here when you said play run. Now let's look around the code that got generated and see exactly what is in it. So something is wrong here. This is the folder structure that you see here. There is the folder called app. All your code resides in this folder. There is a configuration folder. There is a lib folder where you will put all the third-party libs. There is a public folder where you will put all your CSS, JavaScript and stuff, images and fonts. This is where you will put the test folder, is where you will put all the test code, and the temporary folder is for temporary use. Now, when we opened the application in the browser, we saw a lot of stuff, right? We saw all of this. We want to know where this is all coming from, so we'll do this step by step. If you open up the app folder, you will see that it has got three further folders. The model view controller, there's a pattern that is being used here. And if you open up the conf folder, you will see one file called routes. This is the first file that we look at. The rules for resolving a URL to something in the application are given here. And it says that when you get the root path with no path, just the localhost 9000 kind of URL like google.com, then it's supposed to go to application.index. Now, application.index, as it is written here, application is the controller and index is a function in the controller. And since it's a controller, the place where you will find it would be a folder called controllers. You open it, you will see one file called application.java. You open it and you will see one file called index, and in that you will see one method called render. This is all that happens in to show all of that stuff. Now, just continuing from here, just to take you through the tour, once you see something like render here in this controller application in the method index, you see render. This is going to render the view. The view would then be seen in the views folder. You open it, you will see a folder with the same name as the controller. So if you create another controller that says address or contact or supplier or test, then you will, the views for that controller would be in folders with that exact same name. So if there is a folder with the name, if there is a controller with the name suppliers, then you will have a folder in views called suppliers. The exact same name, whatever is there in application, whatever is the name of the controller, the folder in the views will be called the same, which should have that same name. Inside this folder, you will see a file, a simple a file with the extension HTML. This file name, as you guessed it, should match the name of the method. So the method is called index. The file here is called index.html. And all that stuff you saw was due to this one line here, welcome. You remove this, save it. Now, if you are coming from any other kind of Java development background, this would shock you a little bit, that you just go to the browser and you say refresh. And this is the new thing you are seeing. There is no build cycle in Playframework, which is one of the best reasons to go for Playframework. There is no Maven build and Maven deploy and do this and upload and restart and reload and all of those things. This is just it. Just refresh. Okay. Just to make it clear that this is how it is working, if we say something like hello over here in index.html, this is what you will see here. Okay. The other two things you see here, this is setting a variable called title with a value called home, and variables tend to get used like this. We can come back to this. This is groovy syntax. It doesn't really I'm just showing this to you just so that you can get the feel of it. We will come back to this later. Okay. This extends part here is that it says that okay, there is a template to use, and that template is main.html. Okay, and you will find main.html at the views folder. There it is. So not inside a controllers folder, but right there at the views level, you will see main.html. Main.html has all this head and doc type and everything, and this part here that says do layout, this is the part where the index.html gets inserted. This part, that the hello title path, right? Hello title part gets inserted here. You can say here before, and you can say here after, and as you refresh you see that the part before came from the main template. Then when it encountered do layout, it actually rendered the part in the index.html, and then after it did that, there is the message after that came after the part here. So that's just to understand how the template thing works. When when you are writing the views, you would like to not have to fiddle around with all this head and what scripts to include and other things, and just go here and say do layout, and just you would like to just get to the point when you're writing the view. So the other part you have to remember to write extends main.html, and as you figure, see, this is not a fixed name. You can have multiple templates here, so you can have one anonymous.html and one buyer.html and one supplier.html, different templates for different types of users, and you can based on who the view is for, you can extend a different template. Okay, so that part is about the views. We just want to check this a little bit more. We will say something like public static void smoke. Okay, and we say render like this over here. Now the way to access this method would be to say something like slash application slash smoke. Okay, and why this works, we will come to that point. But other thing we are seeing here is that this is the way that errors get, not a dirty stack trace or like a blank screen with tons of output in the console. There is some output in the console, but you see right here in the browser, you see what the problem is. It says there's a template application slash smoke.html is not there. Okay, and the error occurred on this line, very nicely written. Depending on the platform you are in and the IDE that you are using, it is quite possible to hotlink this, that you just click on this and it will go to the right place in the IDE. That works on some platforms with some IDEs. So if you are one of those users, then you'll be able to do that as well. It go all the way. Just click on this error message, just click on this line, and it will switch to the code to the right correct line. Okay, but even if that doesn't happen, this is still way better than what kind of error messages you get you're typically developing with Java. Okay, now what we have to do is, in the views folder, in the applications folder here, we have to create a new file, and we will call this smoke.html. Okay, and some kind of a public whatever interest message out there is no smoke hide. How did that work? How did that get kind of auto wired? That secret is over here. It says catch all, and it says whenever you get something slash something. Okay, so that is a controller slash action. These are just variable names, descriptive variable names. So in all other cases, in case none of this is there, in case none of this is there, in all other cases, in case none of these rules match, in all other cases, in the URL you have slash something like we have here, slash application slash smoke should be interpreted as application dot smoke, as in application is the controller and smoke is the method, the method to call. An application slash drink, since we don't have one of those, okay, it will say not found. Application dot drink action is not found. It tried all of these things. These are things that are hidden. Maybe I'll show you some other time how that works. But these are the rules that we saw in the routes file. It tried all of these things and it couldn't find anything matching application.drink. So anyway, let's go back to the route. Now, as you can see, this will also match application slash index. Okay, and you're seeing the exact same thing. It's the exact same page that got called, but just in this case, the rule that matched was this one, not this one. Okay, if you change the root this one to application.smoke, then this will still work as described, but When you now say root folder, it will now go to application.smoke. So you can set when what is the default page, what controller, what action gets to be called is you define it with the root here. Continuing on, okay, let us try to create some kind of a form here, okay, and a form would be more or less on the same lines, okay, that we are doing. Method equal to post, and then we will say input type equal to text, name equal to name, okay, and button submit, okay. uh, so you see that very quick and dirty form here. As you type something and try to submit it, it tries to post to, it says post to the root path. It is not found. The thing is, in the routes, we are saying this is a get method. There is no post to the root, right? So that's where it is having a problem. But there's another thing that we did not say root, it just took root by itself because we didn't write anything here. We want this to post to application dot save. Okay, we want to get this to be posted to application dot save, and just go back and just reload that. It says no root able to invoke application.save was found. So again, go back here, write a method that says public static void save, and that save part will work. But now when you submit something, again nothing will happen because there is not even any render here. If there was a render, you would get to see that the view is not there. You know, if you had a render, you will say the view is not there. But if you did not have a render, it just did nothing here. We can say redirect to slash application slash smoke. Just redirect back to smoke, and as we keep seeing the form, we keep seeing this. This is what happens. Anyway, so that we have a form, it's working. And okay, and how did this work? Because now you see the meaning of the star over here. This means any method, not just get. All of these are get. This star here means any method get or post. When it has something slash something, right, it will go to controller dot action. That will go to, this is actually a post that got called here, and we will do something. We will just shortly learn how to save stuff to the database. Now, to start saving things to database in two parts. First, we have to edit the application.conf. We have to configure a connection to the database. That's where it goes here. Since we have a MySQL database, we will say this would be a user that would be contacts. This is what I like to do. Keep the username and password the same, and the database name also the same. This is okay for development. I don't have to remember anything. I just look at the name of the database and I know which user and what password to use. Obviously, in production, you will want to be a little bit more secure if you are allowing access from outside. Even if you are just keeping it localhost still. Anyway, so as you refresh this, you see that cannot connect to database, access denied, so and so forth. And as you see here, it says access denied to user contacts at localhost using password. So some of these errors happened before. We did not take a look at it, but then this is the error that you get to see, and the problem is obvious. We don't have a database called contacts. So we will say here something like create database contacts. Okay. Now, what I like to do is I like to also specify character set, because the default character set kind of doesn't work for me. Character set UTF-8 and collate, which is how the sorting is to be done. UTF-8 general CI. Some places I use UTF-8 Unicode CI, but then other places it's general CI. The thing here is, if you look here, um, anyway, this is configured to connect using assumes that the sorting is done using general CI. So character set UTF-8. So that is one command that creates the database. Okay. And the second command creates the user. Grant all privileges on contacts.star to contacts at localhost identified by contacts. Okay, so that creates the user identified. Grant all privileges on contacts are identified by. Okay, I always spell this wrong. It is identified, not indentified. Identified by contacts. That got done. Okay. Now, as we do a refresh here, you see that worked. And if you see here, it says, see the collation UTF-8 general CI. Now this, it did not assume. And see, use Unicode, yes, and character encoding UTF-8 and connection collation UTF-8 general. It did not auto detect this. This is the way it is by default configured to work. So I mean, I know that. So when I create this database, I do it this way so that there is no confusion. If you did not create with this UTF-8 encoding and UTF-8 general CI, if you did not create database with that, then you do two things. Either you go and change how Playframework connects to the database, then that's fine. It should use the same character encoding and collation as your actual database. If there is a mismatch, then you will find down the line that sorting doesn't happen the way you want. You will some other errors related to database. Data doesn't get inserted properly. You will have funny characters. You will save something and you will get back something else, and those kind of things will happen. So just make sure that your character encoding and your connection collation matches the way the Play framework is set up to connect, and your actual database character encoding and connection collation. Collation. Now that we have this, okay, we have to now create a model. Okay, and it's a new file. Now I tend to typically forget how the models work, so I reset that part, or I don't even need to reset that part, just go back to what it was. I remember when I gave a wrong root, okay, like drink or maybe drunk, which is not what I am, and there is this documentation URL. So just paste it here. This is a special URL. This is there during development. This will not be available in production. We are right now in development mode, so we are seeing this. There is a whole documentation here, and somewhere here you get to see all the things that you need to know to work. First iteration of the data model part will tell us the things we need to create a model. Okay, basically what it is. So in the model, we will create one model called contact.java. Okay, and so this will basically be public class contact. That's how it is, and it will have one public string name. This is the attribute that is what we are capturing, right? Now, uh, from here we get to see over time we'll memorize this, but this is, since this is in the folder called package, this is the folder called models, this is package models, and the three imports that you need to do, java.util and javax.persistence. Java.util.star for miscellaneous things, and import javax.persistence dot star for the various things like the @ entity and things like that, and import that is the play.db.jpa.star, play.db.jpa.star, which is for things like the class that we extend here, extends model. Okay, this is an entity. We give the um, uh, decorator. What is the Java word for this? Annotation, right? Entity for this, because this is the it is a table. Okay, and you have a basic class, constructor, contact, string name, and this dot name is equal to name. This is all you need to do. And you see here, we are connected to the contacts database. Okay, and you do refresh couple of times, there is nothing here. What we did is we just created a class in the models folder, and it created a class in a particular way. It's like an annotated with @ entity. It extends model, it has a public property, it has got a constructor is not important, public property till this one it's fine. And I just basically try to do this again, and it takes a slightly longer time to get me somewhere. Why? Because it has created a table called contacts, and if you see the structure, it has got an ID by automagic, and it has got a field called name, which is varchar 255, which is what string would be. And this primary key ID is like begin 20. It's by default a primary key, it's auto. This stuff is done by the Playframework, whatever um, thing it is that they do inside, that magic that they do inside, that it is all from there. Did I change this? Did I not change this? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if whatever that is. Anyway, so okay, content so far is blank. Okay, now as I want to save something in the save method, I would say contact C is equal to new contact, and and C dot save. This is what I would kind of do to create a contact and save it. And refresh this. I say ASDF and I submit. Okay, and I refresh this. I see there is one record that says who in the name. That happened because of this. And instead of this, if I want that name, I will say string name. Okay, and just kind of say name over there. What will happen here is whatever I get as a parameter, ASDF, and submit, and MySQL, and refresh, and there's ASDF, and something that I cannot possibly predict, and save and refresh, and that same thing over here. This is how it works. The thing about this here, this name here, is that this maybe I would say email over here and email over here, and we'll try to give something else. Okay, and as you see here, it's null. Okay, so what is that really like? Just is that like a play thing that I have to call parameter as name? What if I had a parameter called email? How would that work? You might see the connection here is that the name of the field, and I would say input type equal to text, name equal to email now. Okay, now I have a second field here. So that's the name, that's the email, and unfortunately we have gotten a little bit ahead of ourselves. But just let's do that now. Instead of name, I write email over here. And now let us run this and write 1 2 3 4 in this, and A B C D in. So name is 1 2 3 4, email is A B C D, and I submit. And if you see here, I have taken the string email and I have saved this. Okay, and if I see here, name was 1 2 3 4, email was ABCD, and we see ABCD here. So the name of the parameter here should match the name of the field in the view. So those are in this case we'll get both the fields. This is the cycle that we see. If you want one more thing, or I guess let's end this session over here. We'll come back to looking at listing and other things some other time. I hope I have been able to explain this to you in a way that would now allow you to go through this tutorial one more time, maybe get a hang of it. I would really recommend that you complete this tutorial of Playframework, the one that takes you to the tutorial, yet another blog engine. Just go through these one by one by one. I hope this session has been useful. Thank you.